Let me ask you a question. Are you familiar with the supernatural? Do you believe there are things, controlling us beyond the veil, forces that we just should not mess with? That's kind of a question that I've been kind of contemplating myself for about a while. Ever since I have found this little account that I've been kind of been seeing everywhere at this point, and I've tried to avoid this little thing, like kind of like like mold, but it eventually just ended up growing on me like mold, and I just couldn't help but keep looking at it like it's a train wreck. And this little mold is essentially Zacks film. To most people, probably don't exactly know who he is. You probably thought he was like some random celebrity that just appears in movies now, or to One Piece fans, you may believe that this guy must be canon in the manga and have the Will of D. Well, it's neither of those actually. If you've been around the internet for about long enough, you may have stumbled upon one of his videos before on like Instagram, Twitter, or TikTok. It would essentially be these 3D animations that would end up answering a question of very much ranging from like the kind of most common thing we end up finding on the internet to basically something that is almost kind of completely out of the blue and it would almost immediately answer the question already. And they are very much by far so random where it can very much tell you something that is both internet factual, but also something toward the point is that they almost kind of say complete utter nonsense. Most would immediately want to compare this to the likes of things of like those AI Reddit story accounts that would end up using a voice changer of like a cartoon character, or at least my favorite YouTuber, Yap Dollar, who is kind of essentially the epitome of all those types of accounts. And for you my Spanish speaking folks out there, there's actually an alternative version out there. It's called Yep Peso.
Antenoche me rayó la madre un peruano. Lo veo pero no lo creo. Mis sesos están tirados sobre la calle. ¿Quién se acuerda de la familia Peluche? Ellos me ayudarían si me vieran en este estado crítico. ¡El chorizote! ¡Ayúdame! Mi oposición se robó mi cerebro y me mandó este video por el Face. Me manosearon la mente. Hasta las cejas me quitaron. ¿Quién en mi familia me comprende? Yao Hong Shu.
But back to the point I was saying, they basically serve as kind of very much the fodder, the lowest of the low when it comes to actual content creation, and very much just only wanting to win in the algorithm to essentially get more views, more likes, be shared around, but just because of how obscure and very much just nonsensical it is. Not to say that any of these accounts actually have any kind of worth when they are being promoted by YouTube. They're essentially just a fast food meal with no calories. Like, there are so much less calories than the actual vegetables that have 0 calories. And I have been very much been intrigued by this account, and since nobody has actually made a video documenting any of these things, I decided to bestow it upon myself to very much kind of go through basically random videos of his just to see exactly how silly or nonsensical they are, and whether or not the most of these things actually are like, proven into actual science things.
Biting through a bowling ball is something that a grizzly bear could easily do. And this is because their wide, thick skull provides a stable anchor for the massive jaw muscles. These highly developed muscles generate the force needed to deliver such crushing bites, over 1,200 pounds per square inch. Additionally, their sharp, robust teeth can penetrate thick hides and tough materials. This incredible strength allows them to hunt large prey and access nutrient-rich bone marrow.
I mean, to be fair, I didn't exactly need much of the science to know to not exactly screw with the bear, though it is kind of intriguing to see that the bear can literally just like, at least bite something as hard as like a brick, and it has like, the jaw of like tungsten steel in order to do it. Though I guess I don't know exactly why I would need to know that. I mean, the predator looks like if it's gonna kill me, it's gonna kill me regardless. I mean, I appreciate the science stuff. It is, I don't question it. It's just that like, I don't think anybody was asking the question like, could this thing kill me if it could?
If you shot at a World War II helmet, most people think it would stop the bullet. But these helmets were made of steel and were designed to protect against shrapnel and debris. Now, if the bullet was shot at a certain angle, the helmet could deflect it under the right circumstances. However, direct hits would almost always just go right through.
I mean, to be fair, those helmets kind of serve as the same purpose of any type of helmet. It's literally just to protect your head from the most damage it could possibly sustain. I'm not thinking that like the helmet is going to be literally made out of vibranium where like I'm very much protected at all costs if I just wear it. I mean, like a clear shot straight to the bullet for like a literal World War II helmet, I think that would almost just be completely and utterly fine. And even so, direct hit onto the head, that's basically you're dead at that point. Though I guess he also does bring up into the matter of fact, like if it was shot at like a slight angle, it could just deflect off of it, just kind of like, being flicked at. But that's not exactly to say that it's going to be there. Like, I mean, you're going to be dead regardless of because of it.
If you find yourself in a room with walls closing in, most people will immediately begin to panic. But this wastes time and energy. Instead, look for any mechanism or button that might stop the walls. If you can't find one, use any available objects to wedge between where the walls are moving, providing more resistance to slow them down. If that fails, try climbing up and find a space above the moving walls where you can escape the crushing force.
I like how you just explained the literal like situation that happens in like every single like movie ever. I don't know who, what, or where, or why that anybody would end up trying to find themselves in a literal like room of that kind of like specific like detail that would end up like needing to know about this info if they ever get trapped in one. Not people are living on the life of like John Wick or like those action movies where like of spy thrillers, or literally like the Star Wars like trash can scene where they just hold the middle pipe between like the two like compactors. Like that usually almost never happens. And plus this info, I mean it is kind of useful, at least to some extent, but like it's not like in like day-to-day life you enter like a McDonald's and then all of a sudden the walls are gonna like slowly crush in and you need like okay, hold on, I can do this. I just need like a table. I just need like like some other things. We can just like pull this around and we'll all escape. We'll all be fine. Like I don't exactly know what kind of use the info will end up being, but that's kind of what it is. It's kind of like nugget calorie.
If you fired a bullet in space, some people think the energy would just propel you back, but that's not exactly what would happen. You see, in the vacuum of space, there's no air resistance, and that means that there is nothing to slow the bullet down. So when you pull the trigger, you would be slightly pushed back, but unless it hits something, the bullet would continue traveling in a straight line forever.
I don't exactly know how much true it actually is, but I'm pretty sure that like I'm confident that most astronauts, especially NASA, does not like send astronauts up there with like a gun in order to be able to do this like type of trick. Because even so, what kind of astronauts bringing up a gun up in there? Unless like there are actual like aliens coming down from there, that is just completely like unnecessary to test out there. And plus, even if it was like you just only slightly just shift back in like the space, why would you want to do that? That bullet could literally end up becoming very damaging. Like, it could end up damaging like a nearby satellite if it could, since it's just going in like a straight line for the rest of eternity now.
If you shoot a bulletproof vest with a crossbow, the sharp tip could pierce through the fibers. And unlike a bullet, which spreads its energy across the vest's surface, the arrow's point focuses all its force on a small area. The arrowhead can cut through the material, often embedding itself into the layers beneath. And these deeper layers may slow it down some, but it's still most likely to go through.
That part I would probably say that might be linked, at least in some ways of fashion, of just like, doing it. I mean, I who was to say that like you would end up having like, a bow and think you would like it would end up going through like the vest and all that, because usually most bulletproof vests, at least some that I've at least seen that Critical has done like experiments on, they usually would end up kind of making sure that like that the bullet wouldn't exactly go through like the vest or like wouldn't exactly inch near it. And plus, I wouldn't say you want to try to do this like at home, because why the fuck would you want to do that? You're completely just insane. But I guess it would make sense that like the arrow would kind of just be like the most like focusing all its point onto just kind of pushing it all the way in and deeper like after the layers for the most part. So I guess you would be safe. You would kind of get like, you would still kind of get the arrow inside of you a little bit, but like, I don't know. It's just like, why would you want to try to do that experiment? You could just do that thing on like a dummy or just like find a YouTube video for it, because guaranteed you would end up finding something like that out there on the internet.
When you pull the pin on a smoke grenade, it activates a fuse, igniting chemical compounds inside. Once the chemicals heat up, they create a thick colored smoke, which is forced out through small holes at the top and bottom. As the compound burns, it produces large clouds of smoke for about 60 to 90 seconds. The canister can be thrown, providing a temporary screen to cover your movements.
I'll be honest, I thought Zach was about to literally teach me how to just pull the pin on an actual grenade, not specifically just a smoke grenade, but just a regular grenade. Is literally something straight out of like that one Looney Tunes cartoon where like this wolf that literally just has like dementia, literally it has to fight off bugs and has to read the instructions of how to pull the pin on the grenade, and he just ends up exploding. Like I thought we were about to actually see exactly of that caliber, but no, it's just an actual smoke grenade. But I have a feeling that he would just explain how a grenade works.
He shot at the balloon floating beside him, but the bullet missed. These two men were literally dueling in the sky, because they both liked the same woman, of course. They planned this duel for a month, until they finally took to the skies over Paris. The first man shot and missed, but the other's bullet tore through the balloon, sending his rival plummeting to his death.
I'll be honest, I don't exactly know why would you want to duel on the top of the skies on the balloon, because that's clearly like the easiest win that anybody can just do. Like, at that point, you don't even need to kill the other person. You just gotta shoot at the balloon that's on top of the thing, and they would just end up falling flatter than like a tomato. Like, bro, like, I don't think we need the answer to that, and that is just ridiculous to do. Like, and I don't know why.
They connected an artery from the sheep directly to a vein in the human patient. The animal's blood would then flow into the human's bloodstream, which they thought would help. But as the blood was replaced, the immune system recognized the sheep blood as a threat and attacked it. This triggered severe reactions like fevers and intense pain. Blood clots could form, leading to blockages in vital organs. And some patients experienced kidney failure, went into shock, and died.
Moral of the story, folks, do not get yourself infected with the sheep. Or in fact, the matter, maybe don't try using blood of an animal to like try and do it. Unless I'm completely wrong on that, and like somehow science and doctors are telling that you could just use animal blood as like a substitute for like other blood if you're just missing out a little bit of it. But even then, with this example showing like that he literally just ended up like just having it like almost kind of like every like disease, like the dude turned green, he just looked like an actual zombie at that point.
If you burn yourself, some people might apply butter, thinking that it will soothe the wound. But the greasy substance actually creates a barrier that prevents heat from escaping. This can cause the burn to deepen, damaging even more layers of the skin. Using ice can freeze the tissue and constrict blood vessels. The extreme cold can reduce blood flow to the wound and slow the healing process, which is why you should just stick to cool running water.
Why would anybody's like first thought at the point when getting like burned on the hand is just to literally use butter? I have never seen someone like that. Like, I've seen other ones that were like, oh yeah, if you like end up getting yourself like burned, you know, you can use some chapstick or like Vaseline to seal the wound, like that type of shit. Never like butter. Like, why would butter want to like? Why would you want to do that? And also, why freeze your hand? That's also just gonna make it worse. Like, usually when it happens, when you just get burned, you just kind of just like, dip your thing in like cool water. You kind of just like try to tend to it all nicely. Like, why in the hell would you apply butter onto it? Like it's not like this, like, you know, this like magical like healing applying thing from like Resident Evil where you just like you get like a broken hand and you just like have to like smash the potion and just like spew it all over on your hand. Like, that's not how it's supposed to go. Like, like I don't. Why butter of all things, man? You're not Scott this Minecraft.
If you shot a gun straight up in the air, could the bullet come back down and kill you? Well, when a bullet is fired this way, gravity will eventually stop it and pull it back down. And even though it isn't moving as fast as when it was first fired, it can still reach dangerous speeds. The chances might be low that it actually hits you, but if it does, it's likely to strike a vital area like your head.
Yeah, I just wouldn't fuck around with that. You just don't fuck around with a gun half the time, okay? I know I live in the great, you know, USA land, home of America, home to the Emma, but like, I just wouldn't want to do that with a gun, just to see exactly, you know, where would the bullet go. Like, it's not gonna go up to heaven. It's gonna come back down and it's gonna hurt someone or anybody out there. You know, I mean, on the potentiality of the safe side, you would be lucky if like you shot the bullet straight up and you would just hit a bird, but it could also have probably done a lot more worse than it. Like, I don't know, it's just like, why would you want to know the answer to that when like the answer would probably be the most obvious? You gotta see the pattern or like the why as to how this account kind of just is. Like it's acts on like actual like correct information, but it's information that like most people would end up kind of like knowing regardless. Like it's something that we all would collectively kind of think that like, yeah, this would happen, but like you would just end up asking Google and was like, okay, that makes sense. Like, but just like he does this, he keeps making so many of these. I'm willing to believe that he just actually has a team of people that would just end up answering a lot of these questions or just finding them out and then making like, you know, just the 3D stuff, because like it looks bad. I'm gonna be honest, it actually looks somehow worse than like stuff of like Food Fight. Remember, like, you know, that movie? I never watched it. I only knew it because of like its infamy, and that was it.
If you shoot at a propane tank, most people assume it will explode spectacularly. But is this actually true? Well, propane tanks are designed to withstand significant impact and pressure. When a bullet penetrates it, it may cause a leak as the propane escapes in gas form. However, for an explosion to occur, the gas needs to mix with air in the right proportion and then somehow ignite. And simply shooting the tank very rarely provides the necessary spark to ignite the gas.
So you're telling me all those action movies and games have been lying to me every single time that shooting at a propane tank actually doesn't cause it to explode? Well, god damn it, now my games are not unrealistic. Thank you. Now I look stupid in front of everybody. Thank you, Zacks Film. Now I know what games and films I will boycott. I cannot handle the fact that it does not have any realism into it. Though, to be fair, it is kind of like useful information for anybody that was almost psychopathic enough to think about shooting a propane tank with a gun. Like, if you're either having that thought, I think you need to see psychiatric help.
If you stick a nail into a lemon and a penny into the other side, the acid in the lemon juice will react with the zinc in the nail, causing it to lose electrons. These will then travel through the lemon and toward the copper in the penny. You can then attach a small light bulb with wires, and the lemon will work like a battery, creating just enough electricity to turn it on, all without plugging into a socket.
My boy Zach is just now spitting out a bunch of like cheating codes throughout the entirety of the world.
If you shot a .50 caliber round at a cast iron skillet, the bullet would go right through it with ease. But what would happen if you stacked 10 of these skillets in a line and then shot? Well, some people think the bullet would go right through all 10, but each skillet would absorb significant energy, slowing the bullet dramatically. As it continued, it would lose more force with every impact, stopping at around the third skillet.
What kind of guy would end up wanting to know about that? Like, I'm pretty sure a YouTube video out there kind of already exists of that kind of caliber of like maybe shooting through like a bullet through like a bunch of skillets. It's like, why? Like, any normal person would not want to think about, oh, hold on, what happens if we wanted to, you know, shoot like, you know, a sniper bullet through like, you know, several layers of like skillets and we'll see what would happen. Yeah, no, just overall, this has kind of just been what I've been seeing a lot within like Zach D films. Like, I have nothing or less like hate in towards the guy, but like he ends up making this account just like so interesting because it is literally sometimes filled with like actual information, and then it's just complete nonsense that you would just not think for a second otherwise into being. But if he managed to get this much attention because of like me and like maybe this video as well, then like he's probably doing a good work at it, and like it's not gonna stop anytime soon. Like, I'm willing to bet that it is, because there's already been like other alternative people that have been also trying to do the exact same thing. Like, there's literally like one that's like, I think it's only exclusively on Instagram or maybe some other platforms, I'm not sure, that is literally doing the exact same thing of trying to explain it, except they just end up having the word fucking. Like, it is literally a character that, if it was written by Vizipop, this would end up being the result.
During fucking World fucking War, fucking 2, a fucking French fucking weightlifter, fucking named fucking Charles, fucking Rigolot, fucking found fucking himself in fucking jail for fucking striking fucking a fucking Nazi fucking guard,
but that's really honestly I wanted to just kind of go over a little bit, which is very much kind of going all in and just like, you know, exactly how his actually film works, and very much kind of just skimming through so much of the account that I have basically been kind of just keeping the knowledge to myself. And yeah, that's really about there is to him. He just was an interesting guy, and I just decided to make a video on him. And yeah, that's really all there is to it. Bye bye.